Listening to 740 on your AM dial, WPAQ in Mount Airy, North Carolina, the voice of the Blue Ridge. Hey, we're so excited to play for you a couple of back-to-back here, old-time tunes. We're first going to hear from the Pine Ridge Boys and Patsy.
Look how we wore these out.
I know. I got one better than that. At home, I play.
Well, we were talking about Max Snow, and that's how I'll always remember him smiling. Oh, my gosh.
And his guitar all hitched up. He always played his guitar hitched up.
Yeah, he did.
Oh, man. Was he the one that really encouraged you to play, or Scotty?
I think I just automatically went in the band and played.
Because they were there? You probably were singing along?
Because I got the bass, and, Steve Burton played some in contests, and they taught me how, so.
And where'd y'all get that bass?
Out of somebody's barn loft, and Cal Creed fixed it.
Was it all in one piece?
It was like busted at the neck, so Cal Creed fixed it. It's been around the world, that bass fiddle. I had a calf. I sold it and bought my first guitar. I paid $78 for it. I still got the check where I wrote it. Yeah.
When was that? Like, how old
65.
were you? Oh, my goodness.
I was probably 18.
Did anybody else in your family make music?
Yeah, my brother, my mother, and my dad played a little on the banjo. But all of my mama's family plays. My aunts and uncles.
Gospel or what? Or bluegrass, old time?
Mostly gospel. Yeah, I come out of a musical family.
If we think about the people that we listen to, you might have the main fiddlers there. Tommy might be there, and Ernest might be there, and Benton might be there, but they never played together. They always took turns,
Right.
And they would have their band would play, and everyone would listen, dance, whatever.
Right.
If each one of those fiddlers played the same tune, Sally Ann, they sounded so different from each other.
Exactly.
Yet they still are considered round peak musicians. All right, so each one of them made those tunes their own.
I mean, I can tell when I hear somebody who it is. If I was blindfolded, I can tell who's playing or whatever.
Yeah.
I can pick it out. It's like, I know who that is playing just by listening to it.
I never spent enough time around Ernest to hear him talk about it, but I have spent a lot of time around Tommy. And Tommy he'd be playing like his version of Sally Ann that he played with the 3 parts. Well, he put that 3rd part on the old tune. Now, every once in a while, he'd get this look. He'd look at you over his glasses. Then he'd start playing it different, and he'd say, "Now that was my daddy's playing, my daddy's version of it."
It seems that Tommy's grandmother played music. Did he ever talk about her, his grandmother?
I seem to have some recollection of the banjo, that she played some banjo. This makes me think about Julie, because Julie, one of Tommy's sisters, I brought a picture to share of Julie playing at the Ruritan with her son Clancy backing her up on guitar and B.F. Gerald backing her up on the fiddle, and she's playing her French harp. And she was quite a singer. I don't know if she played anything besides the French harp, but she was real good on it.
lot of sons and grandsons talk about mother or grandmother playing the banjo or the fiddle. And I think there were different social mores of that time because they were playing in the home, they were singing in the home, they were telling stories in the home. You know, they're also the member of the family, the moral responsibility rests upon teaching the children well and so on. My first exposure to old time was through records that my dad had, and we would listen to those, you know, when I was growing up. And then Saturday afternoons when he'd come home from work, he'd say, "Why don't you girls have the radio on?" And of course he was talking about WPAQ, and so we would be listening to the Blue Ridge Spotlight, and we would listen to that throughout the afternoon, even through the static that came on, you know, when they had to turn the power down, which, you know, we didn't understand that then. But that's one place where I got a lot of my early music education is through Ralph Epperson's Blue Ridge Spotlight.
His mother, my grandmother, Lula Epperson, she would tell Ralph, now you have your little radio station, but you're not going to play this fiddle music on Sunday. Sunday should be for the Lord, and you can have some gospel music. So be careful with what you have on your station on Sunday. I just want you to honor that. And so my dad was very conscious of that, and so he would tell performers, now on Sunday, think of a good gospel number we can play for everyone to listen to. And how about Johnson's Old Gray Mule? One of the performers said. So, well, my grandmother said, Johnson's Old Gray Mule. I don't know if that would be a good number to play on Sunday. Well, my dad would say, but the Lord said to make a joyful noise. And I think Johnson's Old Gray Mule makes a joyful noise. I never will forget my grandmother's words.
At the beginnings here, there were lots of ladies that had family groups or that were in family groups that were here. I'm thinking of the Hall sisters.
Right, the Hall sisters, Tiny and Flossie.
They performed here. Did they have a daily show?
For a while, they were on daily. And then, of course, you had Uncle Joe Johnson and Pretty Blue-Eyed Odessa. And she was very popular. Complimented Joe real well.
And he worked here as a air personality too.
He did. He served as a air personality, and he was MC of the WPAQ merry-go-round, even in Studio A where we are currently. But also when it moved downtown to the Pick Theater, when it just got, this building couldn't hold everybody, the musicians and the spectators, anybody curious as to what was going on up here on a Saturday. So they decided they would try doing it from the Pick Theater, and it worked out really well. It had tremendous crowds, and there are some recordings, just a few, and it's really loud.
And you told me that you thought I was probably the first female host.
You're the only female host, regular female host. We may have had a few to fill in down through the years, but other than Pretty Blue-Eyed Odessa, Jenny Lowry's the only one I know of.
I'm not sure if the world's ready for that, but it's too late now. We already.
Well, you do a fantastic job.
Oh,
you piece together a perfect show, I think, because you know the rich legacy that down through the years that people were able to entertain each other, and it didn't cost a lot of money to do it. And I don't think anybody expected to make a lot of money either. But what you did is you made music, and it was good, wholesome entertainment for the whole family.
Music kind of picked me, but then I picked it. they're just, I don't know a better way to put that. Mom and Dad met. He was playing music, she was dancing, then I come along. They couldn't really leave me at home, thankfully.
This is something you do because it's part of you. It's a way of expressing yourself, and it's a way of connecting and being in a community. And I've been real involved with the jam program, teaching school-age kids to play traditional music. And one of the things about the jam program that's been so exciting to me is that it's not music lessons. I mean, yeah, there's music lessons, there's instrument lessons. It's community building. It's bringing people together around the sharing of music. That's what's traditional music. That's what pulled me in.
I would say I chose music. My family did not play. The community that I grew up in, Round Peak Church Road, in that area, and so I was...
Round Peak.
Oh, yes. So I was just really blessed to grow up within very close proximity of Dick Freeman, although I would have been very small, the Macmillans, Chester, Max Snow, who I played with for many years, and his son Steve. Benton was the next road over on Haystack, so I chose the music, and I just happened to have, despite having differences in taste, my parents and my grandparents were very supportive. Growing up, I joked with people about having several sets of adopted grandparents because the people that I played music with were like grandparents to me, both them and their spouses. So.
And also a lot of the folks that you would just see at fiddlers conventions, and you might not see them at other times throughout the year or at dances and stuff.
Yeah.
That's the community, or people that called the square dances,
Well,
they built up
the
that
dancers.
community.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there's dancers, and you're just talking about seeing people. To this day, there's certain people that we're only going to see once a year at Mount Airy. We're only going to see at Galax. Or we might go to Laura Bloom, where you see we know that one time we can reconnect with those folks. And it's family, and then, you enjoy that time with them.
We all come together during the breaking up Christmas parties, during the summer, during the fiddlers conventions. Everybody still comes back together.
To think about playing the same tunes that somebody played probably 150 years ago, and that's something that we in this digital age take for granted, that people did not have a digital recorder. They didn't have a record. The people that came before us really had to want to learn the tunes and want to pass them down, and that's what y'all are doing today in teaching people and in just showing your kids. You and I have small kids. Just wait till you have to pay them $1 to dance with you. That's what I have to do. But anyways.
Well, and that also, Dad kind of has a saying: you learn from warm hands. You can look at YouTube, you can look at Facebook, you can look at all this stuff digitally now, and you can learn note for note exactly. But until you're sitting with that person and you're sitting in that circle with those people, you can't learn a feeling. You can't can't express how that makes you feel until you're right in the middle of that circle, and it's happening, And you can't explain it to another musician. We just all know what it feels like and how it is, versus just sitting there looking at a computer screen, which has been fantastic, but until you're right in the middle of it and learning from warm hands, it's a big difference.
I like that.
Yeah.
It's kind of why we keep continuing these music parties where we invite, really just everybody who's in the community here, or everywhere. And lately there's this whole wave of young musicians from all over, and they, like you said, they learned off the internet, but to have a place to get together and express it and get into jam sessions and, with their peers and also people who they're trying to learn from, like now that's us. And but, when people can sit down and find, 10 tunes that they all know and play them together, whether they're from, North Carolina or Vermont or Ohio or Sweden.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
That's the thing that astonishes people that I've brought who out from outside of the community, neighbors, friends who come to a party and they sit there with their mouths open because it's like, well, how did you guys know what to play? Well, you never met each other, you don't know each other, you come from two different cities, but someone says Sally Ann and, okay.
I just gravitated towards the big old-time sessions where you could just walk up and play your instrument and nobody cared. I just sat on the outside of jams and learned tunes. That's just the way I went because it felt good to just play with those people. It's more inclusive.
Right.
It's more of a participation thing. It's less of a performance thing. You're getting into a groove and with your music that then initiates people to dance, and it's that whole back and forth conversation between the musicians and each other and the musicians and the dancers that that's what got me.